Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broadening our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I'm here with Michael.
Hey, guys.
And Jason.
Hey, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, motherfucker.
Yeah.
'Tis the season.
We're so close now. This is our last Halloween special. Building up. It's only a few days away now. How you doing?
Doing good.
I get so confused because we record these on a different schedule, and I was like, is
Don't-
it Halloween?
Don't ruin the illusion,
You already
Michael.
did that like 6 episodes
Yeah,
back.
we cut that out.
Well, I'll tell you what really ruined
No,
it.
we didn't.
is
We cut that for a
We
reason.
didn't cut that out.
last episode talking about Malignant like it was a new film.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's like time dilation. It's like Interstellar.
We spent like a long time on this planet. It was actually 5 minutes.
But yes, today we're going to be talking about Night of the Demons, 1988 classic. But first, as always, what have we been watching?
What have you been watching? I'll work on it. I'm sorry. It's not.
What is that?
That was theme music I had in my head of like, what have you been watching?
Well,
What have you been? But it's not very good. And
No,
I
it's not.
I committed it to recording here. All right, yeah.
Don't pursue that any longer.
I'll scrap it. I don't know. If you like it, send it in. Write me. Say, I think I dig that, Michael, and I'll put you out a record. I'll cook it pressed for you. Dustin, what'd you watch?
Okay, yeah, I can start. So one of my
Somebody fucking has to.
one of my Halloween traditions, every year I'll usually go back and reread a bunch of H.P. Lovecraft. One of my
Yeah.
favorite authors.
Yeah.
Just love his horror stories.
Not the man, but the stories, yeah.
Hey,
Love the stories, not
that's
the
a
man.
discussion for another time.
And we'll probably get into that one day if we ever cover specifically a Lovecraftian film.
Oh, I think we will.
And there's really good audiobook versions now. The H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society has recorded literally all his writings, committed to like good audio versions.
Nice.
So I often enjoy that at work. I can listen to stuff like podcasts, things like that, and I'll usually.
Please link that in our
Okay,
story
yeah.
notes, because I'd love that.
It's a little pricey, but I mean, it's so many stories that you're getting, so
Oh, well, you just killed me there, because you were like, it's not free?
it's worth it, and it supports them, and they do a lot of work to keep like Lovecraft stuff going, promoting his name,
Okay, fine.
cool projects. It's worth it.
Fine.
So I tracked down a weird anime connection here. 2007, Toei Animation did an OVA, H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror and Other Stories. And it's just a little one-shot, it's about like 40, 50-minute anthology. What's interesting, though, is it's not traditional anime. It's actually like claymation puppets. And they've done stop-motion work. Not good stop-motion work. There's little bits of animation, but a lot of it is they'll just set up a scene as a diorama and then kind of pan a camera through it.
I don't know. That's still kind of interesting in its own way.
And it gives it this really weird, like, absurd, haunting motif to it that really works with the score to have, like, some good atmosphere.
Nice.
But it adapts 3 of his stories, The Picture in the House, personal favorite of mine.
Yeah, I
love
like that one a lot.
The Dunwich Horror, which is sort of the main feature of the thing. And then they close it out with The Festival, which is probably one of his lesser celebrated stories.
Mm-hmm. Now, is it like just like an audiobook, basically? Is it someone narrator just reading the story?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
There's little bits of dialogue that like kind of represent the other people, because in like Dunwich, it's the group that kind of goes out there to investigate.
Yeah,
But
such a classic.
it's mostly just the story read, because a lot of his are in first person anyways.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And I think at the right atmosphere and the right voice, that's powerful enough. That's all you
yeah.
really need.
And because of this claymation style that they're using, it's so weird and so arresting to see. It really like helps to build that tension.
Interesting.
It doesn't have a proper release. It's not streaming anywhere. It was fan subbed, however, and I do think that there's just a YouTube upload, which I will link to. There's no other way to get at it. Please, if someone would license this, I will buy it like 10 times over and just start throwing it at people.
Sure.
Just on the street, Dustin's driving down
Hey,
the
you!
street.
Yeah.
It's like it's a weird movie.
That's the thing for me, strip club, no, I'm going to make it rain Blu-rays.
Just tape a genre exposure sticker to the top of it so people know who they can write and complain to that I just got pelted by a random Blu-ray.
Yes. So it's really interesting to see, very creative. Check it out.
Cool.
Cool.
To YouTube we go.
Well, the one that I watched should have a proper release by the time this is out. Since I'm currently on a planet with a different gravitational pull, and your time is different than my time.
Don't worry, listeners. I have a movie you can easily watch.
This one will be out.
Okay.
Nothing goes easier than getting on YouTube.
So I got this film as a screener to write a review of, which you should also be able to read by the time this is out.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, cool. But this caught my eye from a festival because it was listed as written by Alan Moore. Ooh. And I was like, oh shit, why has nobody jumped on this? Because Alan Moore is Alan Moore. So, guy who wrote The Watchmen, Swamp Thing, like half the comics of the 80s and 90s. But also a very, very eccentric person. Very... I'm not going to say controversial, because I don't think he's controversial at all. He's just kind of enigmatic. Almost reminds me of like a modern, not shitty Aleister Crowley.
He does lean into a lot of occult stuff, too.
He does, very much so. A lot of William Blake and kind of stuff along those lines. He calls himself a self-professed like magician.
Yeah, because it was, him and Grant Morrison kind of got into a tiff, because Grant Morrison like leans into a lot of the chaos magic stuff.
Yeah. They...
I'm imagining them doing spells on each other.
Counterspell. So Alan Moore wrote this film called The Show. It actually was made in 2020, and it's just now getting the circuit, like a festival releases right now. The main premise, IMDb says, it's a man's search for stolen artifact leads him to the haunted town filled with voodoo gangsters, masked adventurers, Depression-era private eyes, and violent chiaroscuro women.
I mean, that sounds like an Alan Moore graphic novel.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically the film follows your main character, which is Fletcher Dennis, who's a private investigator who's searching for this cross artifact. And it leads him to the town of Northampton, which is the town that Alan Moore resides in. That's where he grew up, and that's where he currently works. And it's apparently one of the oldest towns in the UK.
Interesting.
So it has a lot of history of itself, but it's kind of a rather boring town, supposedly. But it kind of it's this weird, very dreamlike movie that just kind of meanders into all of these different spaces and different ideas. But all of them feel very connected through a dream. Like it's kind of an Alice in Wonderland-y type thing. It's not super coherent in like... as if you were to just sit down and watch like a narrative. It kind of floats all over the place and kind of messes with your mind to where you're not entirely sure what's real and what's not. But I really dug it. It was not what I expected, and very avant-garde, but the performances are really great in it. It kind of leans into this very vaudevillian side at one point, where they suggest that that's essentially purgatory, that they're floating in. One of my absolute favorite things, though, of the entire film is when it talks about the Depression-era private eyes, is the main character ends up hiring another private detective like to work for him. But it's these two kids, like 11 or something-year-old kids, and one of them speaks in narrative, in 1920s noir narrative. And he's like, he walks into my office looking about as happy as a clown on a clown appreciation day that isn't actually clown appreciation. It's like this really random, but he's speaking out loud.
Right.
But nothing's ever made of it. Like, it's just the kid is just speaking in, like...
It's accepted as normal.
Yeah, Maltese Falcon, narrative. That's so bizarre, but you're like, okay, whatever. If you like Alan Moore, if you are a fan of anything he's done, you'll probably already know the tone of this film, because it's very, very out there. But I really enjoyed it, though. Directed by Mitch Jenkins, who has really not done a whole lot other than working with Alan Moore before. But yeah, this currently, I believe you actually can get it on VOD, but it'll probably be streaming somewhere by the time this drops. But
dude, I want to see it.
It's really good. I think you have to tailor your expectations going in and know that you're going to watch something kind of weird and artsy. But all the performances are so solid, and everyone really sells it and is committed that I think it's definitely worth watching.
I mean, just blind buy it if it gets a media release.
I'd watch it again. I really would.
Cool. Nice.
Jason.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about a movie I've already mentioned to you guys. I feel like I need to warn people.
Debbie Does Dallas.
No, I would actually recommend that movie. The Prey from 1983.
Uh-oh.
It's on Arrow, streaming on Arrow right now.
Uh-oh.
And is this one you have the blue for, Dustin?
No.
Okay. Well, don't buy it.
I do blind buy a lot of Arrow too, but okay.
Right, don't get this one. Although it does have an awesome tagline. It's not human, and it's got an axe. It is human. I don't think it ever uses an axe.
I'm back in again. I'll buy it.
But the blurb is, 3 couples go on a camping trip in the woods of Southern California during the summer where a deformed man is stalking their camp. Oh my God. This movie is an hour and 20 minutes, and I swear half of that is like B-roll of nature stuff. It's like birds flying, flowers, chipmunks scurrying around.
It'd be better if David Attenborough had a overdub.
Right.
So what you're saying is that Tolkien wrote the script.
And someone just filmed it, like actually filmed Tolkien's script and didn't go in and filter.
It's just so boring. And the characters are not. I mean, people complain about, the paper-thin characters from slasher films, and this is the example you could point to. There's no character whatsoever.
Was this like a studio production, or is it regional?
No, it was like not a big production, of course, but it was, not like a regional type
Somebody
thing.
paid for it.
Somebody paid for it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because they've moved into getting a lot of regional cinema stuff put out.
But man, it's not good. It kind of comes alive during the last 5 minutes when something actually happens.
Isn't that the weird thing about a lot of bad slashers is usually the final scene will be incredible.
Right, and everything else is
Well, because that's all that they really had. Mm-hmm. They were like, shit, we got to build an hour and a half around that.
Here's an example. So these couples, these not really kids, they're kind of young adults, but they arrive at the campsite thing, but they're stopped by this ranger. Again, the Tolkien influence. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Was he smoking a pipe?
He's smoking a pipe. Just all mysterious, sitting in a corner. But a park ranger comes up, and you don't see him again for a while. But then there's this random scene of him, I guess at his house. You just see him sitting on a bed playing a guitar. That's it. That's the entire scene. Nothing else happens.
Oh, is it
It's purely there to remind us that, hey, remember there was a ranger character? He'll show up again. Don't forget him.
Was it a real banger, though, of a song?
No.
So what you're saying is he multi-classed into Bard.
Exactly. And not a very good one. He's supposed to be like level 1.
That's every Bard. No, there's no good Bard.
Yeah, just avoid this movie. Just don't watch it. No.
There is a connection here, though, right? To something we already did.
Is there?
Isn't this John Buechler?
John Carl Buechler, yes. He did the effects for it.
Who also did TerrorVision.
Right. TerrorVision's much better.
One of these is better than the other.
Go watch it instead.
We'll let you decide.
Our synergy this month has been on point.
Yeah, we've accidentally connected so many things.
The makeup, when you finally see it, isn't bad. He kind of looks like the Toxic Avenger.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a very bad movie.
That's unfortunate.
Avoid it.
Sad times.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of have a string of movies I'm warning people against, I think. But
You just torture yourself. You sit at home and you're like...
That's the way I feel. I'm like, why am I doing this?
You're like...
Why can't I watch something good?
You're like flagellating yourself, like with film.
I want to imagine like Tom Atkins in Halloween 3. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Shut it off. Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, what'd you watch, Dusty?
We already talked about it.
Yeah.
Shit.
Wow. I guess what you watched wasn't very interesting, was it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yours was the Lovecraft.
Yeah. Contrary to perceptions, I don't always bring like 20 films.
God damn it. Oh, shit.
That's staying in.
Yeah, I've already, I've lost track of time. I've been on this planet too long. That little maneuver is going to cost us 30 years right there. Okay, so I guess it's time to talk about our movie, right?
The movie,
Yes.
yeah.
The reason we're here.
Like on Earth?
Yeah.
Yes, so we're talking about...
Dustin was counting in for me, so I had a place to cut it. But Jason's just like, fuck! What are we talking about here, motherfuckers? We have to talk about movies? Yeah, let's talk about movies. Oh.
Hey, at least I know that he already talked about his movie. I didn't miss that.
As soon as it left my mouth, I was like, shit, he already talked about it.
Clearly, we can't handle a weekly release schedule.
No, it's not possible.
So, Night of the Demons, 1988, directed by Kevin Tenney. And here's the general little synopsis for you. On the night of Halloween, 10 teens decide to go to a party at an abandoned funeral parlor. Known as Hull House, it's rumored to be built on an evil patch of land with an underground stream. While starting the party, the teens gather around a big mirror to perform a seance. And then they awaken some evil force and find themselves trapped and stalked one by one.
Ooh. Sounds scary.
Except this is in line with everything else we've done this month. And it's more of a horror comedy, little mashup there. Though I do think this has some good, like, frightening moments.
It does.
Yeah,
definitely.
It does.
It's got some real creepy moments.
It's pretty ambitious, really.
Yeah. So, I guess...
We've all seen this movie before.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Do we want to talk a little bit about any experience we had with the movie? Like, is it notable? Is it...
I was ripped the last time I saw it.
Well, when did you first see it? Let's talk about that.
Probably a few years ago, actually,
Really?
with Jason.
Of course.
I think it might have gotten a DVD release, and then later got a Scream Factory release.
Which I've got the blue on this one.
Yeah. I always wanted to pick that one up, and just for some reason I didn't get it.
It's worth it, man. It's a good one.
But I watched it with Jason a few years ago. I think you were like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No," and you were like, "The fuck?"
Yeah.
Well, good job
Thank you.
taking care of that. So when did you first see it, Jason?
Oh, I saw it back in the day. I saw it when it came out on VHS.
Of course.
And this was during the slog of just, oh my God, I think history is repeating itself. Just watching movie after movie and because there were so many slashers. There were so many direct-to-video horror films. Although this actually got a theatrical release. You were just beaten over the head with them, and they were, how many times do I have to watch a movie like Dead Pit? It's terrible. But then I watched this one, I was like, oh wow, this is actually fun.
Dead Pit's getting linked in the liner notes.
Yep.
That's on Arrow now, too. Anyway. And it was fun, and it was, it was a good time. And it stuck out for me because it was a worthwhile rental, and it was one I would return to, especially around Halloween.
Right.
It is a perfect Halloween film.
Yep.
Hell yes. So this, for me, it was one of those, like, every weekend in high school, my friend and I would go rent a bunch of horror films, tear through them, and I'd always looked at this one, because the VHS box, it's this great cover, it's got Angela, she's got the demon makeup going on, and I would always kind of, like, when I was younger, I would pass by it, because I just thought it was going to be, like, really, like, utterly destroyingly scary for some reason.
Really?
Just the way she looked with the makeup and everything.
It's a great makeup.
creepy.
It's really creepy.
And I love the tagline on here, because the cover says, Angela is having a party. Jason and Freddy are too scared to come, but you'll have a hell of a time.
Epic.
That's smart PR work.
Yeah, and I saw that. I'm like, I'm not too scared to come. Fuck you, bitch. I'll watch it.
I'll go to your party.
And so at some part, inevitably, tearing through everything, we rented it. And dude, I just fell in love with this film so much. It's so much fun, so enjoyable.
Now, was this VHS or DVD?
VHS.
Okay, so the first scene with Linnea Quigley did you have to adjust the tracking when you were watching it?
I did. And this film was also my introduction to Linnea Quigley.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw this first of all of any of them.
Awesome.
And rightfully, I
You
fell
became
in
a
love.
man that day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we all love Linnea Quigley, right? That's
Unabashedly.
If you don't, I don't
Unabashedly.
know if I want to be your friend.
Yeah.
I've
I
let
agree.
go of friendships over it, yeah.
It's like, is Linnea Quigley going to win an Oscar? No. Is she going to live in the hearts of fans forever?
She's a
Yes.
living personification of 80s horror.
Yeah, she's
you
gonna.
know?
And she makes no bones about what she does.
No.
She's fully aware of everything that she's in, but still gives it everything.
Yeah.
And
She never phones it in.
no, she gives exactly what's wanted and what's needed of the part, even when it's really harmful to her own body to do so. Didn't she get fucking pneumonia or something from Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
So
She's naked throughout most of the movie.
yeah. But it's almost, and I've seen interviews with her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll do that. That's what the character would do. Fuck it, I'll do that."
Yeah, she's brave. She's great.
She's just, and she's, from everybody who I've ever talked to that's met her at cons and everything, is just an absolute sweetheart. Just very giving, very thankful for people following her career.
So I've got to ask, what is your favorite Linnea Quigley horror film?
Mine's Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Easy answer.
Yeah, that's one I would definitely go with. She's so great in that. Mm-hmm. I mean, Trash is just
the film.
Fucking fantastic character. But I do want to give a shout out to Savage Streets.
Awesome one.
Which she plays it very serious. She's like the mute sister of Linda Blair in that, and she gets
more
assaulted by these punks.
Yeah, like a rape revenge thriller kind of thing.
But I mean, you feel for her. I mean, she doesn't. It's not like it's just kind of a sleazy movie. It's a little exploitational, but I mean, she plays it straight, and you really feel like, oh God, don't do that. You know, she's good in it. She's really good.
So I'm gonna curveball it with a cheesy one. Mine is Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball.
Yeah,
drama.
great. Yeah. She gets to play the tough chick in that
It's
one.
such a trashy film, but then she is not like the exploitation-y sex symbol of that one. Yeah. She is the badass that just rules the screen the second she's on there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did her and Barbara Crampton ever do a movie together?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't think so.
That'd be awesome.
I don't think the world could handle it.
Yeah, it'd be too much.
That'd be so great if they did.
Totally.
So those are two of my absolute favorite leading horror ladies ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. My head would explode.
Some fun things too with Linnea Quigley. So for the one shot, which we'll talk about later, they had to make a mold of her breasts for that special effect moment. Great effect moment.
Yeah.
While having the mold made, she met Steve Johnson, who was the special effects artist.
This was his first big movie,
and they ended up getting married.
Huh.
So that's what a way to meet for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Molding Linnea Quigley's breast.
Yeah.
Everyone's just shaking their head
The things effects artists have to do sometimes.
I can't see anything. Can't see anything different about this meeting. Which I can't wait till we get to talk till we get to that point in the film to talk about it, because that's one of my favorite practical effects ever.
That's great.
There's a lot of good effects worked in this
in horror in general. Because that's one of the ones that actually blew my mind. That I was like, I'm sitting there rewinding, trying to figure out how it's done.
Yeah, especially back on VHS, where the clarity wasn't so great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it's great.
And a few more notes on her, just to knock them all out back to back. They asked her to come in and audition for the film off of seeing her as Trash in Return of the Living Dead.
You don't need to audition.
And
she's Trash. She's great.
She initially rejected the offer because she thought she was too old to portray a teenager. But they kept insisting, and eventually she decided she would just go and give it a try. And it was almost immediately on the spot. They were like, yes, you're hired. You're in.
Yeah, was she 26 or something at the time? She looks younger than some of the other
she does.
actors.
Yeah, she does.
She's definitely younger than the people in Trick or Treat.
They sold it well, though, for her by, giving her an appropriate costume.
Yeah.
By making her look a little zombified, kind of, out there, crazy kind of a thing. So they sold it, It's obvious she's not a teenager, but...
Well, she's so petite and everything.
But they play it well, you know. But honestly, I think she looks younger than the leading lady, who's also supposed to be...
Or at least the same age, yeah.
Yeah, who's also supposed to be a teenager, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so basic plot of the film. Where we start...
We start with kids driving around, having fun, man. Halloween night.
Going to a Halloween party.
What kind of car was that?
Shitty car.
That's fucking awesome.
And they almost immediately set the tone because they have this slob of a guy in a pig costume.
Stooge.
Yeah, just being a total asshole.
I'm not sure how much of a pig costume it was. Just a pig nose. I don't really...
He became the costume. He embodies the spirit of the pig.
But they're blasting music. And then the girl that's with them tries to turn it down. And he's just like, hey, bitch, stop.
This is one of those movies in the long line of cherished, especially 80s slasher films, where you don't know why any of these people are hanging out with each other.
Right.
They all seem to hate one another.
They do, yeah.
And usually that's really grating, but I think there's enough funny lines and kind of interesting characters in this one that you don't mind it so much.
But, and I think if... people were to watch us as a fly on the wall, they might think we hate each other, but it's there. Our love is palpable.
But as they're driving, they cross paths with a elderly man, and he seems to be having some stuff he's taking back home for Halloween.
God, I love that scene.
Yeah,
and what is it? He complains about them or something, doesn't it? Like loud
Damn
teens.
kids. I don't get, yeah.
And
But
so-
they throw shit at him,
But
right?
the girl's being nice because she's like, oh, I'm sorry,
Well,
you know.
first it's Stooge like moons him, right?
That's right.
Yeah, he moons him. Yeah.
He's wearing like jack-o'-lantern underwear.
And they almost pull like the Friday the 13th thing because they drive off and he's like, oh, they'll get what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, that's when Helen shows up, right? The main chick. Is her name Helen?
I don't think it's Helen. I think it was
I'm all mixed up. It's Judy.
Judy. Yes.
Played by Kathy Podewell.
And she's good in it. I like her a lot.
But my favorite thing about the old man is that how quickly you go from like feeling sorry for this old man
Yeah.
to fuck this guy.
Yeah, you see the contents of his bag.
Also, like what he says to the girl when she tries to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a shit ass. Like he's just a bad person.
Yeah, and he holds up, it's like an apple and razor blades,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they'll get what they deserve.
But that's what's so funny is like when they moon him, you're like, Jesus, why'd they have to pick on the old guy?
Yeah.
And then he's like,
And then he's
okay.
mean to Judy when she tries to help him.
Immediately, this movie is subverting your expectations.
Yeah, he's just awful. He's a horrible human being.
But we're introduced to Judy. She's kind of our main character. She's going home to get ready because she's going to go to a Halloween party with her boyfriend. Is he Jay? I think's his name.
Yes. Yes.
And there's like 10 teenagers, and they're all mostly interchangeable, so it's a little hard to
it's
track
the
them all.
80s.
It's Jay, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even going to bother.
There's
chiming in
a little
on
bit
it.
of dialogue about how it's being thrown by Angela, some weird chick.
Yeah.
So, ooh. Yeah. There's your
Yeah.
first
Because
red flag.
originally they're supposed to go to the Halloween dance, which I guess it's good they dodged it.
Yeah, because Sammy Kerr shows up
Sammy
and starts
Kerr would
killing
show
people.
It'd be great if they're set in the same universe.
That would be crazy.
Like if they just have like a TV clip.
Well, this movie has some good songs too. So,
But like if they just had a TV clip playing in the background of like
that'd be awesome.
rock-
Chaos at high school.
Yeah, rock legend.
But yeah, Jay says like, no, we're gonna go to this party. It's at this old funeral parlor. Angela's throwing it. She's weird, and immediately Judy's like,
Freddie
well,
and Jason are too scared to come.
Judy's like, well, why we don't even like hang out with her? Why? And he's like, well, if you wanted to have like a scary Halloween party, she would be the person
Yeah.
you pick.
So even as a teenager, I was instantly interested in this Angela chick.
Yeah, sounds like my kind of person.
Yeah, all right.
And there's a ton of great build up here at the house with it's Judy's younger brother,
Billy.
and he is like the snark master.
Oh, that kid. God, you just want to punch him at every turn.
Well, he's hiding
but
in her closet and scares her with a mask when she opens up the door.
there.
There's just some choice dialogue.
What is the dialogue? Do you
Well,
need to say
according
it?
to the actor, it's the only line of all the stuff he's been in. It's the only line he still remembers.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
It's bodacious tits, sis, right?
Bodacious booby, sis.
Yeah.
If they get any bigger, you're going to have to hire someone to tie your shoes.
But it is just constant. Anything anyone says to him or around him, he has some kind of snarky one-liner.
Yeah,
to
he's a little
pop
shit.
back.
He's great.
He's a little shit. He's great.
Apparently, he was supposed to be a bigger part of the movie, but because of the whole, child labor things, they couldn't really work around the time schedules it would take for a kid to be on set.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
During this, also, the character Sal shows up. Very, typical greasehead kind of guy.
Yeah.
And we learn that he used to date, in some capacity, Judy. And he's kind of being weird and stalkery and being like, well, where's she going?
Yeah, he's bribing the kid to find out where she's going.
That's another great moment, too. Because he gives him, what, is like a quarter?
It's a
or
quarter
something?
at
Yeah.
first. It's like, yeah, right, I'm not telling you for a quarter.
He's like, you think I'm going to sell out my sister for a quarter?
Yeah, he does it for $1.
This kid's a future businessman. He's already a businessman right then. He's
What's-
liable to become president of the United States someday.
But so Sal learns about this party, and he decides he's going to go crash it. Jay and some of their friends show up. They pick up Judy.
And a sweet Mustang.
Oh, yeah, the brother gets one more good, punch in whenever Jay shows up. Because he's doing the whole, oh, you look wonderful, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, she's the best bride of Frankenstein you'll ever see.
Which, and
he also asked Jay, and he's like, he says something about, you're with her for her looks, right? Not her personality.
Jesus, God, that kid's a little shit.
It's great.
But Jay didn't really dress up
No.
for the thing. He said he was going to, but, didn't.
He's dressed much like the bullies from Trick or Treat. He's
He is.
got a tie on and jacket and shit.
Yeah, he's dressed
Whole
very
frat
much like
thing
them.
going.
He should stay away from Lades.
Definitely.
And Judy goes as Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
Which is important because it's kind of foreshadowing of the journey they're about to take.
Yes.
Then we get to meet our next duo, which I think doesn't it start off with
It's one of the best introductions
with
ever.
Linnea Quigley bent over,
Yes.
picking up booze.
That's when the VHS tape would get all wobbly and you have to adjust your tracking.
Yeah, Linnea Quigley bent over, her butt hanging out.
She's distracting the clerks.
They're ogling her.
Yeah.
As Angela goes around stealing food items.
She has a huge, gigantic
bag,
bag.
yeah.
And she's just shoving everything in it, man.
I mean, there was a lot of distraction going on there.
I don't fault him.
And Linnea Quigley, just the way she plays this role is so funny. Like she's gone full on comic version of.
Oh, it's over the top.
Like I hope there's going to be some cute boys there.
Yeah. Her name is Suzanne, is her character's name. And she's dressed, what is that? It's like some frilly baby doll type costume,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then it's great because when they leave, she just drills the store workers with like a one-liner.
Yeah, ask if they have sour balls.
Yeah,
They're like, we sure do. Too bad. I guess you don't get too many blowjobs. Well, one of those guys, he was like one of the production assistants or something. I don't know, but he did all the demon voices too.
Oh, nice.
One of those clerks. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so now we're gonna start to get to our.
Well, we meet a couple other people. The dude dressed as a doctor and his date, Peter Pan.
Very dispensable.
They're the ones who show up in the cool Mustang. That's
Yeah.
right. No, Jay has the Mustang, right? Because they get in the back.
But these are very dispensable characters. Like the
the other
second
thing
you
is,
meet them,
yeah, but they have a certain. I think the actors managed to inject them with a little bit of individuality.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like
it keeps them from being insufferable.
The second you meet them.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they're fodder.
Sure.
And then on the way, Stooges group, they have a little car trouble because he makes the chick take the wheel, and they get out of control. And
he's looking at a map. Turn here.
so they mess up their car and have to hitch a ride with. I think it is Jay's group, isn't it?
They have to hoof it because Jay and them stop and then they just mock them. Do you need a hand? And then they clap and drive off.
Classy.
Yeah, so they have to hoof it the rest of the way.
So eventually, everyone assembles at Hull House. We get a good look at it. It's nice, gothic.
Matte painting.
Matte painting.
And we get a little bit of the history, a little bit of a tidbit.
Yeah, it used to be a funeral home.
The guy was too friendly with the corpses, apparently. Something about satanic rituals or something, blah, blah, blah.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
And this is also where we meet Angela, who is sufficiently gothic, just like we need.
Which is great.
She is in, like, her hair's all teased out, goth makeup, full.
Black dress, some evil queen type thing going on.
Played by
there.
Amelia Kincaid.
Yeah.
Which was funny. I was watching this, and my wife was like doing some work or something, and in the background, she was like, "Isn't that chick from The Craft?" And I was like, "Very similar, but many years apart."
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some inspiration there.
Yeah, I think so. But except that's how Fur's Balk looked most of the time.
Right.
So maybe
Naturally,
She's a method actress.
yeah, maybe she's like always as Angela.
So everyone gets there. They're kind of getting acquainted with one another. Sal shows up and crashes the party. Makes it a little awkward for Judy. You can tell there's a weird.
Oh yeah, he's hiding in the coffin.
Yeah.
And scares Jay when he goes in there to hide, not scare the other people. So.
Eventually, they put on some music. They start dancing. Typical party stuff.
Sure.
I wanted to know if the music they were listening to was the music they were dancing to, or if this was like one of those
I have a feeling it was not.
Friday the 13th moments where they're actually dancing to like Back in Black, but they can't afford to put that on. So, because
I'd be surprised if they had anything actually playing at all.
I don't know. The Bauhaus scene seems like they might have had that one playing.
Yeah, that's like one of the few like real bands they actually got to do the music for. I think.
Okay.
I got some comments on them too when that comes up.
Okay.
How awesome that scene is.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The radio dies mysteriously. They don't know what's going on. Stooge swears that there's fresh batteries in there. They get that awkward moment where a party's like not going well. It's kind of like, what's going to happen now? And so Angela decides that they should have a seance as a party game. It's Halloween, why not?
And she's living up to the reputation that they gave to her. So
This is why they came to party with her. So she pulls out a mirror, and it's kind of one of those ones where you like concentrate and focus on the mirror. da-da-da, that kind of thing. And then this wicked, awesome demon face, like, kind of just manifests in the mirror.
Yeah.
Love how that thing looks.
They don't linger on it so much that you have a chance to really see it. It's enough that it's, like, creepy and then done. Which is smart, because I think sometimes 80s films tend to be like, yeah, this prop is amazing. And you're like, no.
The more you look at it, the
no,
more you
it's
notice.
not. Yeah. It's not amazing. So just pull the Jaws technique and don't show it that much.
And then so there's some kind of loud crash. Everyone gets scared. And this is when they kind of disperse to go about the house, right?
Well, the mirror falls over, right?
Yeah,
and
shatters,
which is actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because this is swinging way for the fences artistically.
Oh, when it cracks and there's each one of them is in one of the fragments.
It's a really great shot.
It's so good.
Very well executed.
Very well set up. I'm not sure how much of that was done in editing, how much was actually in camera. Because it looks a bit rotoscoped at the time, but still very avant-garde and artsy for this type of film.
On the Scream Factory disc, they kind of on the title menu just play a few little segments, and that's one of the scenes they linger on a little bit.
It's really that scene is great. I thought that was always when the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a pretty artsy shot for this. And
Suzanne very clearly gets possessed.
Yeah.
There's kind of this roving Sam Raimi-esque shot, like from the cellar, like where the furnace is or whatever, and it's like this. It's a POV shot, so it's like the spirit, the demon or whatever, and it roams through the house, and then it goes into Linnea. It's like this reverse shot where she's like, she would have breathed out smoke, but they reverse it, so it looks like it's going into her mouth. It's pretty cool.
But yes, like Justin said, this is where they all start to kind of disperse and do their own thing throughout the house.
Typical.
And notably, Suzanne kisses Angela.
Yes.
And it kind of implies that it's
passed
spreading
along
the demon to her.
But Suzanne is looking for some action, for some cute boys.
Oh, yeah.
And decides that she would rather hook up.
She's in the mood for pork.
Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah. She ends up hooking up with Stooge. Yeah. Well, sort of.
Well,
the intention's there.
He thinks they're going to.
Yeah, but really, she's just looking for a bathroom. They're going to look to pee. And that's kind of what leads them throughout the funeral home.
And then meanwhile, two of the other people, Roger and Helen, they go out to try to find an exit.
Right, because they're smart, because they're scared at this point.
Yeah, they're like, we don't like this, we're out.
Yeah.
They're some of the smartest characters ever. Like, that's one thing I love about this movie is how smart they wrote them. That the one dude's like, no, fuck this, I'm gone.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
I'm out, don't want to linger.
However, when they get outside, the wall that kind of surrounds this place, there's no little opening anymore.
Yeah,
it's been all
gate's gone. Oh, and the wall also apparently is supposed to mark the location of an underground stream, according to one of the characters from before.
Yes,
which becomes important later. Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Judy and Jay go off on their own, and Jay kind of starts trying to put the moves on her.
It gets a little too grabby for her.
And it's an interesting scene because it kind of punches up into a more serious topic for a little bit, where you learn that he had heard rumors that she had slept with Sal, and she's like, no, we just went out on a date once, and that's all it was. And you kind of find out the only reason he's really with her is because he thought she would be easy to sleep with.
Yep.
Very disgusting moment. She kind of rejects him.
Yeah, Jay's a shit.
Yeah.
He's a shit.
And she ends up locked in that room after he leaves.
That's right, yes. Yep.
And it kind of sidelines her as we focus on some of the lesser people, and they start getting terrorized by the demon.
Yeah. Then that's about when Angela does her dance to Bauhaus, right?
Yeah. Stooge is trying to get Suzanne out of the bathroom. She won't leave, so he goes back. And when he comes back, it's around the fireplace. And that's where she starts to do the dance. And it's to Stigmata Martyr.
Great song.
By Bauhaus. Amazing, legendary Gothic band.
Yeah, absolutely. If for some reason you're listening to this and you don't know Bauhaus, you've probably heard Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Yeah.
Somewhere, sometime. You've had to have heard this.
Popularized in the movie The Hunger.
Yep. And this film is so many firsts for me, because like first introduction to Linnea Quigley, it was my first introduction to this band.
Oh, wow.
And I love this song so much, I obsessively like tracked through the credits to find out the name of the band.
Nice.
And then immediately went out and picked up an album.
Wonderful.
Oh, and fun tie-in to the movie that I presented for this week that I watched. One of the hospital workers in the show is wearing a Bauhaus shirt.
Nice.
So, yeah. Clearly, their influences ranged on very far.
Yeah.
But that scene is really, to me, that scene is both sexy and awkward at the same time.
And actually, Amelia Kincaid choreographed that herself.
I could see that. I
And
mean,
she's a dancer.
It looks natural, but it looks like kind of not so much like erotic dance, so much as like interpretive dance.
Yeah, apparently she was just in a Stray Cats video that was pretty popular.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's a very strange scene because you're like, okay, oh, this is weird. Because you feel the weirdness in the room of the others watching her, like, I'm not sure if I should be here.
And using that song, it like truncates it so well, the way it builds up.
Yeah.
It builds up.
And in my experience, weirdness and arousal aren't mutually exclusive. So.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right.
But eventually it leads up to her kissing him, except she kind of bites his tongue off, and then he gets possessed as well.
Yep.
This is also where she sticks her hands in the fire, right?
It's a little later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when Sal shows back up.
Because then the next thing that happens is Jay wandering around. He comes across Suzanne finally, and this is where we have the great special effect work.
Suzanne, in an earlier shot, has taken out her lipstick.
She's trying to fix her makeup.
And but ends up drawing like a big heart around her face in like this really creepy, like, I don't know, almost in a very possessed is the only kind of word you can think of it, of like some sort of demon, like, I don't know what makeup is.
Yeah.
So like drew a heart around her face and it's already like very crazy. But yeah, when she does this effect, like she's playing with her lipstick and being like kind of seductive with the lipstick and is like drawing it over her nipple, but then shoves the entire lipstick tube into her nipple.
Yeah. And it disappears.
And it's gone, and then when she pulls her finger out, the nipple is back.
Yeah, it closes up and everything.
And I stopped and I like grabbed my wife and I was like, this is one of my favorite
Come look at breasts with me.
Yeah, come look at these breasts.
Look at these boobs, honey. They're bodacious.
But I was like, this is one of my favorite special effects moments because it's so realistic. It's weird.
It's realistic.
Seamless.
It's unexpected.
You never even think it's like a prop at first. The way
So
they set it up.
we like actually played it back. Like I showed it to her and she's like, holy shit, that's really good. Like she was impressed by the artistry of it. So we rolled it back and she's like, okay, there's the prosthetic. And like if you break it down and you really pay attention, you can see where it goes.
And you can see it better in HD. But
Yeah,
like in VHS, it was pretty seamless, man. You couldn't really tell where the chess piece was, and
but man, it still looks great though. Even as an effect, like I'm still like, because as deep as Linnea quickly shoves her finger into her boob, I'm like, where did it go?
Yeah, Steve Johnson's great, man.
Where did it go? So that's one of my favorite.
But Jay comes across her, and she immediately starts coming onto him, and they had already kind of been flirting a little bit earlier in the party, and they start having sex. And during that, she morphs into her full-on demonic.
Yeah, that's one of the parts that was kind of creepy for me when I was a kid. Because she's like saying, "Don't look at me, don't look at me," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then all of a sudden, she's a demon. Don't look at me.
Yeah,
it's very fangly. Good makeup.
Yeah, this movie does intersperse, like as goofy as it is, it intersperses some severely creepy things.
And I think that's the best way to do a horror comedy, is when you have the horror moments, they truly are like going for it.
Yeah.
And then he dies memorably.
Yep, eye gouging.
Yeah, she doesn't want him looking at her.
The blood just spurts out the side.
Yeah, it's a great pop. Yeah.
Meanwhile, two of the people we haven't really talked about, they're kind of more the disposable ones, Max and Franny. They're Jay's friend, and they're already a couple.
Yeah.
They've slipped off and are having sex in a coffin.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
And Demon Stooge comes across them. And it's a pretty gruesome moment because he grabs Franny and like twists her head around.
Yeah.
And then Max tries to get out from under her, and he starts slamming the coffin and just like rips off his arm, crushing it.
Yeah, right. That's pretty good.
Good kill.
I'm still just a little hung up on Jason's comment. They're having sex in a coffin, and Jason says, "As you do." And I think maybe I've done some things wrong in my life. You know? I think I've made some mistakes somewhere along the way.
It's strange.
And then this is where we get back up with Sal. He's come to the main area where the fireplace is. Roger and Helen are kind of hanging around since they couldn't get out. I think they go and get one of the cars, I think, is where they're at.
Yes.
Yep. And so Sal walks in, and Angela's like first warming her hands by the fire, and then she just sticks them in the fire.
Also, another really good special effects gag. You know, definitely prop hands, but still.
She pulls them out and they're still on fire.
Well, I've got some good notes on this. In an interview, Amelia Kincaid revealed that there was an ice bucket that they had on hand for her to extinguish the liquid and the fire right after the scene, or else if it had stayed on any longer, it would have burnt her hands, like, terribly, severely.
Wow, that's cool.
If she had, it was like a timing thing. If she had waited any longer, it would have been like a serious, critical problem.
Wow.
Yeah, typical 80s.
Props to her. That's pretty ballsy.
It's like the party trick you see all the dumb kids do, where they spray their hand with bug spray and stick it in the fire, and then it lights, and then they're surprised when it burns the shit out of them because they didn't get their hand put out quick enough.
But what I love about it for Sal as a character is because early on you sort of think he's the sleazebag. Mm-hmm. He seems a little stalkery, but he's actually one of the more heroic characters in the film, I think. Because Angela starts, the same ploy they've been doing, she starts coming on to him, and he's just like, "Nah, lady, something's wrong.
You're crazy,
You're
possessed.
crazy.
I'm out of here."
Didn't he say, "You're a little too weird for me"?
Yeah.
You're a little too weird for me.
And then this is where we have that car scene that happens. Roger's out there sleeping. He's nodded off. Helen's nowhere to be seen. And he's kind of like, what's going on? Where is she? And then she just slams
around the
top
windshield.
Of the car, dead.
Which she kind of saw. She saw a vision of that when she was looking in the mirror. After she sees the demon's face, you see her face come towards you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of creepy.
There's a lot of good little setup like that in the film.
Yeah.
This is... I think this movie is very much a love letter to Raimi.
Mm-hmm.
You can
see his influence
in so many ways. There's so many little... but what's not? Evil Dead changed the way horror films are made. There's so many scenes in this that are very Evil Dead-ish to me.
So then we get into kind of the meat of this whole chase thing where they manage to find Helen, they free her. Oh, not Helen, Judy. They find Judy, they free her, and Angela starts kind of chasing them around the house.
A lot of taunting. Running back and forth.
They find Suzanne and Jay, and in the mix of all of this, Sal gets tossed out a window.
Mm-hmm.
Defenestration. Let's get the word right here. Yeah. He gets defenestrated.
Which is an interesting choice, because you really think at this point he's kind of going to be the hero, and he'll end up with Judy somehow.
Right.
But nope, he dies.
I like it.
Yeah, he doesn't need to end up with Judy.
No.
Judy don't need no man.
Nope.
Sal, while he may have had good intentions, he's a creeper.
Yeah.
Well, he's not that big of a creeper.
That's concerning.
I found myself defending people you all are calling creepers.
It seems to happen regularly here, where you're like, keep.
That's perfectly normal behavior to show up at someone's house and bribe their brother about information on where they're going. How is that unusual?
Join us next week as we try out our new host.
We keep threatening, man, but
I keep coming back. Can't get rid of me.
We might have to eventually just shut the podcast down. Okay. Continue on, Dustin.
That's unfortunate. And so in the end, it kind of comes down to Judy and Roger. They're the only ones left. They manage to get down into the basement of the house, and they find the crematorium. And they lock themselves in. Think maybe they can kind of hide out.
No such luck.
And I think this is actually where they kind of bring up that idea that earlier one of the when they're possessed by the demon, they mentioned that this is their one night where they can be out. And she kind of pieces together that it's something to do with Halloween night is why this has happened. And if they could just make it through to the morning, the demons will go away and they can survive.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're locked in a crematorium in the basement.
With demons attacking them.
There's nothing about that plan that sounds good to me.
No.
There's the crematorium. Let's go there.
But it's a pretty awesome moment where Judy really fights back because she gets a pipe from inside the furnace, drags it out and uses a lighter to kind of make a makeshift flamethrower.
Yeah.
And the second that Stooge and Angela kind of break through, she hoses them with flame.
Good move.
Good move. Roger, he's not the most helpful guy, I guess.
No, but he definitely steps up at the end of the movie. What?
It's just funny. Like, we're sitting here trying to give, like, merit to characters that really aren't very good. Jason's defending the creepo. Or like,
dude, I keep telling you, at the time, these weren't bad characters for the sorts of movies we were getting constantly.
I guess, yeah, they're better characters than what you normally have.
And frankly, the stuff I've seen lately isn't much better.
Oh, God. Here we go.
But yeah, so as they're running back through the house now, fleeing for their lives, all the characters are back, and they're all demons now.
Yes.
And they're all surging after
they're
them.
all fucked up, burnt, uglier looking.
Great makeup
all
work
fangly.
on all this.
Yeah.
They get outside. I forget what it is. It's somehow she's up on like a higher level, right? And
Yeah, she's like crossing on this beam or something. And yeah.
Stooge is trying to get her. Roger tells her to jump down. He's going to help her. But she's not quite like over it. It's a very tense moment.
But eventually they climb her up over they have to climb up the barbed wire. That's at the top of the...
They get away. They get to the wall. There's no other option than to climb up the wall, go over the barbed wire, and escape.
She can't make it over. The demons are like clawing at her legs and
Right.
stuff. But Roger's on the other end. And see, this is the moment I thought was kind of affecting because he's like covering his ears to cover up her screaming and stuff. And you think he's just going to, freak out, leave, whatever. But that's when he steps up and comes up there and saves her.
Yep,
But I like that little touch with him, like, covering his ears and kind of freaking out over the whole thing. It's very human.
I think it adds to it, to the creepiness, just because of... The demon makeup's good. It's creepy. It's unsettling and
Yeah, it's
gross.
great. It's great.
And the first time you watch it, you really do get that feeling of like, fuck, he's just going to run and leave her.
Yeah, and the actor who plays Roger, he said that he loved the character because he was a black man who actually survives the horror film.
Right.
Which that's become a cliche now, but honestly,
And
you didn't see that happen
And
much
he is the
better.
one from the start. He had the instinct that like, this is bad, we need to go.
Yeah, right. Alvin Alexis is the actor's name.
Yeah. He did a great job, I think.
Yeah, he's good.
So in the end, they escape over the wall. Sun comes up.
Yep.
Demons are purged.
And the demons can't follow them because of the stream,
Yep.
the underground stream.
Which, yeah.
Neat little bit of lore to throw in there. We get a final shot of that demon face, too, where it kind of like appears above the mansion and then makes a final roar before it vanishes. And they walk home. Very, very battered, very beaten, injured.
But then there's a fun little coda to this movie.
Right, because as they're going home, we get back to this elderly man. They pass him as they're walking, and he's kind of sneering at them. Because to him, it's like they've been out partying
Damn
all night.
kids.
Yeah.
It's Jason.
Kind of like me. It's me.
Yeah.
Although I would never, do what this guy does.
And so he goes back in. His wife's made him a nice apple pie. Delicious. And he is so ungrateful to her, too, because he's like, did you make it?
He's a shit.
But, he starts chowing down, starts eating it.
Starts choking.
And then she remarks the fact that's like, oh, you didn't give out all the apples, so I had a bunch left over. I made the pie.
And he's like, oh!
He starts to choke, and we get this really graphic scene of his neck just tearing open.
Yeah, from the inside.
As a razor blade pops out and blood goes everywhere.
Nice. Yeah.
And then his wife just casually walks over to him, very calm. He's already dead, and she just leans in, kisses his head, and she says, "Happy Halloween, dear."
Yeah. Screw that old bastard.
It's such a perfect little fun ending.
It is. It's great. Nice payoff.
And I personally think that is then alluded to in kind of, I think that scene in Trick or Treat
Yeah. I'm
really
sure.
alludes to that with Wilkins and the kid.
Sure. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Of course, the whole, urban legend about poison candy.
Oh, sure.
or
Yeah.
And it's a
razor
great
blades and
misdirection,
apples and
too, because at the start you think at some point he will factor...
Yeah.
Maybe he, summoned the demons or did anything.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be important, and he's not really. This is just like a little side piece
Yeah.
to everything else.
I think this movie is a little hard to talk about in terms of discussing what happens because
Well, it's another great party movie.
It really is. This is best experienced with friends sitting around having a couple adult beverages and laughing.
I think that's true of all the films we've done for this month.
Yeah.
That's kind of our theme, I guess.
The original title for this movie was Halloween Party.
I
But
can see
apparently
it.
Mustafa Akkad's people called them and was like, you can't call it that. And they're like, it's Halloween. You don't have a trademark on Halloween.
Well, yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
You want to try?
They just, yeah, right. So they blinked and changed the title. Apparently, the distributor wanted to call it Demon Boogie.
Hey, I could get down with that.
Yeah?
I would watch Demon Boogie.
Demon Boogie.
Oh, so we have a fun TerraVision connection on this one, too. So, when Angela is possessed by the demon, sometimes she has this very deeper voice. That voice is done uncredited by Frank Welker.
Oh,
cool.
Wow.
So not planned, it just...
Well, that's just how
Frank Welker shows up in everything.
That's just how ingrained TerraVision is into the pulse of 80s films.
Sure.
Like, it just has worked its way in there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the truth from this month that we've learned, is that people need to give TerraVision more love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's the one lesson you take away. Watch TerraVision.
I asked somebody about it. They were like, what are you guys talking about pretty soon? And I was like, well, TerraVision's coming up. And they're like, shit, man, I haven't seen TerraVision since like the 80s. I was like, well, most people haven't either. So you should go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. 'Tis the season.
Some fun little production stuff. This was shot in 4 weeks. Pretty quick turnaround. Mm-hmm. It had a budget of $1.2 million. And it had a pretty good gross. They, for some reason, only gave it a limited regional release. It debuted in Detroit. And then by Thanksgiving, it had hit New York City. And it ended up earning a good $3 million or so.
That's not bad.
And they kept it on screens all throughout the rest of the year and kept replaying it. And they were pretty sure, now, looking back now, if it had had a wide release, it would have done gangbusters.
Oh, totally.
Gross-wise.
I would have been at the theater to see this. And it was a big hit on VHS, of course, when it came out.
Yeah.
So they made a lot more money there, I'm sure.
However, we've spent this whole episode just heaping praise upon this film. Mm-hmm. Critically, it's not regarded so well.
I'm not surprised.
I'm shocked. I'm clutching my pearls right now.
So let's make the rounds of our usual stuff here. Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 40% approval rating based on 10 different critic reviews. The average user rating is 5 out of 10.
So that's kind of surprising.
The Washington Post, on a review, called it a convergence of stereotypes and cliches.
Well, they're not wrong, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
The New York Times said the cleverest thing about Night of the Demons is its advertising campaign, and added that it's stupid, sexist, worthless. At 89 minutes, it feels unforgivably long.
Wow. That's harsh.
What are these people smoking? Really?
They need to tune in, man.
This is one of those things that's intent and expectations. I don't know what some people are thinking when they go into things.
Well, these people don't appreciate these movies to begin with. They're not horror fans.
I just feel like the fun in this one is so infectious.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can't walk away with a smile.
Right.
When it's all said and
Especially
done.
if you're watching it on Halloween night. Mm-hmm. It's such a great Halloween night movie.
I guess I'm just trying to say, if you hate this film, I don't want to know you.
I agree.
I'll just put that out there.
Wait, you've ended friendships over other things, so this one is also the same.
Right.
What our only listener be like, I really didn't like this movie. Well, I guess we got to start from ground zero again. We don't really have anybody else to listen to the podcast.
If you're a horror fan, especially of 80s horror, and you don't dig this movie,
it's quintessential.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know many people who are fans of 80s horror that don't like this. This is
same here.
And that's the weird
pretty well regarded
twist, that if you go looking critically, it's whatever. But when you actually talk to other horror fans, they're like, yes, Night of the Demons.
Yeah, it's a true cult film.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got 2 sequels. Have you guys seen those?
I've seen the second one, which I like. It's more funny.
Yeah, it really leans into the comedy.
Yeah, but
I've actually not
fun.
seen either of the sequels.
The third one's pretty bad. It's kind of a lazy rehash of the first one.
And doesn't, at least for the second one, isn't Amelia Kincaid?
Yeah, she comes back for the second one.
Pretty cool. There's a remake. Less said about that, the better.
The soundtrack is the best thing about that one.
Did Bauhaus show back up for the soundtrack in that one?
No, but it's got a 45 Grave that does a really great song called Night of the Demons. It's got the Ghastly ones on it. Haunted Garage is on it.
They leaned into their soundtrack heavy on that one. Mm-hmm.
But I think this one has a great soundtrack, too.
It does.
I'm going to say it. I think it's better than Trick or Treat.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Trick or Treat or Trick or Treat?
Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Wasn't most of the songs written by, the director's brother or something?
I don't know.
They were good songs. They were fun. It had good backing score music.
They're totally appropriate.
I think that's also a common theme in a lot of 80s horror that we don't see today, and we didn't even see through the 90s, which is original music made for films. Mm-hmm. There was usually somebody
Yeah, Dennis Michael Tenney.
I guess we did see it a little bit more in the 90s, like with some of the like Musketeers movies and stuff. I'm just trying to think of like the songs, like Seal's Kiss from a Rose was originally put out for Batman Forever, but like you just don't see a lot of original.
Oh no!
Like the tie-in, like it's not.
You
like,
always had to have soundtracks back in the day. You don't. They don't do that anymore.
And while I appreciate a good score for a film, sometimes it's fun to have the song that's like featured in the movie, kind of a thing.
Right.
And that's been something throughout all the ones that we've done for this month. Is there's been songs that are very memorable that end up popping up on Halloween playlists.
That one song they're dancing to at the beginning before the batteries go out in the boombox, Computer Date. That one is pretty catchy. I do like that song.
Yeah, see?
And of course, the Bauhaus song is fantastic.
Can't go wrong. So do we want to talk final impressions?
Before we get into that, I have some fun topics, I guess, since this is our right before Halloween episode.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got Night of the Demons. Famously, there's also Demons. There was a Night of the Demon
Bigfoot
earlier.
movie.
And then later on, Tales from the Crypt made Demon Knight.
Great movie. I love Demon Knight.
I love Demon Knight, too.
Do you have a favorite demon-focused movie like this?
Mine would be Night of the Demon, a.k.a. Curse of the Demon, from the 60s.
Yeah,
British
Which you
horror
showed
film.
me not too long ago and I fell in love with.
Isn't
man.
it great? Oh,
So
good.
Probably Demons for me.
Yeah, Demoni is fantastic.
So good. Mine's
What
probably
you just-
this film, so I didn't have an
Really? Of
alternative.
all the demons?
Yeah.
Huh. Cool.
It's super fun. I love it.
Nice.
Other thing, so this is a movie that is set on Halloween.
Yep.
And there's a very special kind of subgrouping of horror films where that is their premise.
Yes.
The story is set on Halloween. Do you have a favorite in that little category?
I do.
I do, too.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Mine's probably cliche, but Trick or Treat is mine. Trick or Treat.
I
Michael
think a lot
Dougherty's
of
Trick or
people
Treat.
do go for that one.
I watch it every single year. It's one of my go-to that gets pulled down. Great release from Shout Factory from that one.
It is a quintessential Halloween film.
And it's one of those anthologies where every segment is good.
Yeah, every segment's
rare.
solid.
Yeah, it is very rare.
I just love that movie. I never get tired of watching it. It's well written, well directed. It's just great. I love it.
Cool. Jason.
Well, mine would have to be House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah,
So much fun.
I love that movie. I unabashedly love that movie.
I'm with you. I don't love the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And along with Trick or Treat, I think it's a perfect Halloween movie because it's so crazy. It's so nutty. You could put it on at a party and it blends in perfectly.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm with you. Also, one with a great soundtrack.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Love
yeah.
the soundtrack.
What's
Mine
yours?
is actually Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Classic.
I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people say it doesn't have Michael Myers, so it doesn't matter. But you're wrong if you say that.
Most of the ones with Michael Myers suck. So, you know.
That's my biggest point is most of the sequels suck, so...
Who cares if he's in it or not? If it's a better movie, it's a better movie.
Yeah.
And luckily, in the last handful of years, it has been reevaluated a lot. A lot more people... I think really when it hit Blu-ray, a lot of people started watching it just because they had the box set.
Yeah.
And they've noticed, whoa, this is actually pretty cool.
It is very cool.
And was originally John Carpenter's intention.
Right, to make it an anthology where every time there would be a new film with a new premise.
God, I wish that happened. As much as I like Halloween 4, I wish that happened.
I often think I would trade in all the sequels, further on, 4 and beyond, for that anthology concept.
I agree.
And I think we get a lot of anthology films about Halloween. There's a bunch that pop up. I think there's a new one called Bad Candy. It's supposed to be pretty okay, actually, but that's one of my favorite tropes,
Yeah.
I guess, or almost genre, I guess, is anthology genre. I love those, but they never follow all the way through. There's always a segment. As much as I liked Mortuary Collection,
Yeah.
when I rewatched that the second time, I found myself checking my watch because I was like, this
Yeah, that's the
segment's-
thing about anthologies. There's
this
usually
segment's
one or
dragging,
two boring
but-
ones. Yeah.
Always.
But man,
But Season of the Witch, it's so much fun. It's the craziest, most absurd plot. If you really dig at it, it starts to fall apart.
Insane.
But it's such a it is literally about Halloween as Halloween as it could get.
Yeah.
And the score is killer. It's John Carpenter back on all the good synthy stuff you love.
Yeah.
It's great. Tom Atkins.
Oh, yeah.
Killer. Love him.
you can't go wrong with Tom Atkins.
Hell no. Man, it's a class act.
All right, so to wrap us up, what did everyone think about Night of the Demons? I think it's pretty obvious, but we can give our exact little star ratings.
Yeah, it's always one of my go-tos. I'll probably watch it almost every year. I've loved it since it came out on VHS. To me, it's a 4-star movie.
Oh.
Because it delivers what it promises and a little bit more. It's just fun. It's one of those old slasher-esque type 80s flicks I could watch over and over and never get tired of.
It's highly rewatchable, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you guys? What do you think?
It's 4.5 for me.
Wow!
This is, yeah. It's a little dramatic for that, but no, it's hard to talk about. Like, I don't even feel like we've done it justice by talking about it here, and hopefully we've said enough fun things to make you want to go watch it if you haven't seen it. But I just usually make memories when I watch this movie. If that sounds cheesy, but I usually make memories with friends when I watch it. And that's one of my favorite things about film in general, is the memories that are made through film. And yeah, I didn't get to watch this one with you guys this time, but I feel like we're
one regret, but
I feel like we might end up watching this together someday, pretty soon. So
you never know. Dustin, what do you think?
Well, I have a lot of personal emotions caught up in this because it was very foundational for me.
Oh yeah, you became a man first time you saw it.
Became a man, learned about the Bajas, became the true gothic kid that I needed to be. So it's 5 stars, just all the way.
5 stars. Nice.
You know me, I say a 5-star film doesn't have to be a perfect film. It's really about what you get out of it and how you feel. And I can't think of many other films that I would just, 5 stars all the way, love it. I revisit it just about every year. It's a constant, Halloween the week of or the night of. Mm-hmm. I just love it.
Awesome.
I really need to pick up the Scream Factory.
Yeah.
Any respecting horror fan that's building a collection, this needs to be in there.
Yeah, I need to get this one. It's a
awesome.
fun movie. It's been a fun episode. So
it's been a fun month.
Yeah, it really has. It's been a good month of
God,
movies.
I love Halloween.
You'll probably be seeing us. You've probably already seen us be pretty active on Instagram this month, probably dropping pictures of what we've been watching and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Stuff that doesn't.
Other Halloween-y goodies.
I mean, we watch so much stuff. We can't all make it into the podcast. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but we still watch it, and it's a lot of fun. So, what's your guys' favorite Halloween night movie? Not you. Quit looking at me like I'm about to ask you a fucking question. I'm addressing our audience. Jesus, you ruined it, Jason.
Jason thought you forgot again. Well,
I mean, there is some precedence for this.
Jason's just staring at me like, are you fucking shitting me? Did you really forget?
Is this a bit? What's going on here?
No, to the audience. Directing to the audience.
Suddenly Michael's just like, all right, so let's talk about Night of the Demons.
So what's your guys' favorite Halloween night movie?
What's your favorite Linnea Quigley film?
Well, it doesn't matter, Michael, because you know what? You can eat a bowl of fuck. I came here to party.
Woo! So, listeners, what's your favorite Halloween night film?
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Comment on Insta, Facebook, whatever you like. I'm really digging Instagram more now.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, I think. It's more look at this cool shit and less let me spree my opinions about politics.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, very good point. So you might be seeing us a little more active on Insta and staying away from the grognards and trolls over on Facebook. But yeah, it's been so much fun talking with you guys. Happy fucking Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And so next month, we'll kind of be going back to our normal thing again. Mm-hmm. So
normal? Does that really ever apply to us?
Yeah, we got a little off schedule where we've sped up things to squeeze all this in a month.
Yeah, we may have a special treat for you guys, too.
Perhaps as well, yes. Now you've obligated us to do that, so that's great.
Oh, we're doing it.
Yeah, cool.
We're doing it. I thought that was a given.
Yeah, we'll just drop that when it happens.
So I think we're going to come back in with a listener pick to kind of reset our little system here.
Yeah.
And get us going.
Yeah.
So are we going with Occult?
I believe so.
Let's do it. We're going to do Occult next.
Friend of the show, Aaron, has suggested that we check out Occult.
AKA Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron.
A little bit hard to track down this film in a legitimate copy. So we're going to do our best to make sure that we find something that is both accessible to everybody else and very watchable. So,
and it's directed by Koji Shiraishi. He's a big name in Japanese horror. He's known for all his found footage stuff, which Occult falls into that category. So,
ooh, more found footage.
We're back on the found footage wagon. I think that's a favorite here at the show.
Yeah. All right, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Halloween, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.
Take care.